Hi everyone, it's Dusty from Discovery Lab in Tulsa, Oklahoma for Discover at Home, a series of at-home experiments and projects that can be done with the grown-up at home. This time we're going to be celebrating National Chemistry Week and their theme, Sticking with Chemistry. I'm going to be showing you guys how to make sticky ice. If you'd like to make this experiment with me, you're only going to need 3 things. You're going to need some ice. It could be any shape, any size that you got. Fresh out of the ice maker or out of the ice tray would be great. Some salt. You can use table salt. You could use big coarse rock salt. Just some type of salt. And last but not least, you're going to need some string or yarn or thread. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing here before we get started. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be making this ice sticky. But how are we going to be making it sticky? No, we're not going to make it all sugary and sweet. This is salt, but why does salt make it sticky? Well, what happens is when you put salt on ice, it makes it have to get colder to freeze. Sounds kind of weird, right? Well, normally ice is made up of what? Water, H2O. Whenever water gets 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius, it changes state from liquid to solid. That's what we call ice. Now, normally, there's some stuff inside of water that might make it a little bit more difficult for it to form, or it might make it easier to be formed. Salt makes it harder for water to turn into ice. Salt is made up of 2 things, NaCl, sodium and chloride. Whenever these get dissolved inside water, they mess with water's ability to form together in crystals. They kind of block it or get in between, making it really hard for them to make those nice big crystals. So what that means is that the ice has to actually get colder in order to melt. So that means it absorbs even more heat from its environment. And the water that's not salty then is able to freeze more easily. That's why sometimes whenever we have slick streets, they'll sprinkle a little bit of salt. So instead of slick ice, we just have wet conditions. However, there's a point at which it doesn't work very well. So we're going to test that now. Alright, you guys ready to get started? Go ahead and get your ice. You can see I've got a nice tray here so I don't get drips anywhere. And your string. Now what I'm going to try and do here is I'm going to try and get this string to stick to this ice with nothing else. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of lay this string right over the top of it. And then I'm going to lightly sprinkle it with salt. You don't want to do too much. Just a little light dusting. Now, if you've ever made homemade ice cream before, you might have done this. You've put a little bit of that rock salt in with the ice while you're churning it. It does the same thing like we discussed. It makes it get colder, freezing your ice cream faster because it has to absorb more heat from its environment. Alright, we're going to let that sit for a little bit. And what's happening is my string or yarn absorbed a little bit of water, and then whenever I sprinkle the salt on the ice then has to try and suck some more heat out, and it chills or freezes the other water. Let's see if it's gotten cold enough to stick to it. Oh, there we go right there. You guys can see that ice is stuck on my string because of the salt right there. That's a simple way that we can use this. If you guys wanted to kind of make it a little more special, you could pretend to have a magic trick and sprinkle magic powder on it, or you can build with it. Sometimes it's really fun to build all sorts of shapes and castles. I like to make them real funky. But just sprinkle a little bit of salt on your ice. Grab another piece of ice. Hold it on for just a second. And remember, the same thing's happening right here. Is my ice is going to get colder than 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. And it's going to make these really fun, funky shapes. Try and challenge your friends and see who can build the tallest tower. I'm going to try and see if I can get this one to stand up a little bit in an odd way. Maybe I can. Sometimes it works. Get like a really fun shape right here. Your finger's going to get cold as you hold it on there right there. Because remember, it has absorbed some heat. And it's going to absorb some heat from my fingers right now. Almost. Alright, we got a little bit right there. Now I can keep trying to stack this up right here. My fingers are getting a little bit chilly. So, to recap, salt lowers the freezing point of water, making the ice have to draw more heat from its environment in order to freeze. It does this because the sodium and the chloride inside of salt messes with water's ability to form crystals. Well, alright guys, enjoy this experiment, and I hope you guys have had fun learning about sticky ice with me here. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you guys next time.